We are being watched. This podcast has a father and daughter, a team, that analyzes every episode of every season of Person of Interest. We started the show because we needed something to watch, but it became so much more, deeper meanings lying beneath the show's surface. Other people consider this show irrelevant. We don't. Bonding over hyperfixations, we research separately. You'll never find us, but debate topic or Easter egg, if your number's up, we'll find you.
All right, you are being watched. What's going on, podcast? My name is David Scott, and you are listening to Podcast of Interest. With me, as always, she's paranoid, but with good reason, my daughter, Emma. And we today are coming to you from the car, and this is in honor of John Reese's favorite form of interrogation.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is the first episode.
It's a car episode. No, actually, we are coming to you from the car because this is the weekend every year that Emma and I go to our favorite football game, which is UGA versus Tennessee.
That's right.
And I'm going to give just you guys some background on this, and then you can fill in where you feel like I'm wrong. But essentially, because we're from Georgia, because we grew up in Georgia, because I went to Georgia, and my wife, Emma's mom, went to Georgia, we are sensibly Georgia fans. And for no good reason at all, Emma decided she wanted to be a Tennessee fan. So every year we try to go to the UGA Tennessee game. Would you like to explain your ridiculous fandom and position?
So years and years ago, when I was in third grade, my dad and I played this game on the Xbox.
NCAA football, which is coming back. I think
Is
in
it really?
January. I think it's coming back for the first time in January.
We have to get it.
Yeah, hasn't been around for a long time.
And when I was younger, I liked to play as the mascots when we would play against each other. And he chose Georgia, and I couldn't be the Bulldogs too, so I scrolled through the mascots and I saw Smokey, and I was like, Smokey's so cute. And that's how I became a Tennessee fan.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. It is absurd. And yet, because I'm a good, loving father, I let it happen. And I make sure that we have tickets to go to this game every year. And this one is particularly important. We couldn't miss it because this is the last time we'll do this game before Emma turns 18 and goes off to college next year. So we're pretty excited. I will say this, this fandom of yours has not bothered me because pretty typically Georgia stomps Tennessee almost every year since you've been a fan.
We were close last year.
No, we weren't even close last year.
The first half we were winning.
The first half was close, and you weren't winning at the end of the first half. We were winning.
Yeah, we were.
No, you weren't. 2 years ago, you were winning for a little bit. But then that didn't happen either, and you're not going to win today.
The last time we won, we were in New Mexico.
So anyway, for those of you, yes, the last time you won was when we were in New Mexico. It was a horrible game. It was Kirby Smart's first year. It was before Georgia became the premier and dominant football program in the United States.
You never know it could happen again.
And it was a last-minute loss. It was a Hail Mary. It could happen again. It's probably not going to happen again. So we are on our way to Knoxville, Tennessee for the game. But it's been too long since we've done a podcast. We're super busy. Emma's in school. I'm in school. Life is happening.
You want to talk about the exciting thing that you did?
What did I do? I don't know.
On Monday?
I don't have any idea.
It has to do with Person of Interest?
Oh, I finished. I finished the series. Yeah, I finally finished the Person of Interest series, and it was good. That's what I'll say about that. We'll take you guys through the rest of it as we go on. I definitely have thoughts and opinions about it. It is not Lost. I will forever think Lost is the greatest sort of network television show of all time. But it was good. It was satisfying, I would say, to me in the end. But that is not the episode we were here to talk about today. Today, we are here in the car as Jane's mom and Jane's
mom.
No, Jane is Emma's mom. As Emma's mom, Jane, sits in front of me here. She's just in front of me. I'm not driving.
My brother.
Not driving.
It's right there.
And doing this. And then my son, Emma's brother, Will, is up here too. We're all going to Knoxville together for the first time. But they're driving. They're taking the front seat. while we hang back here so we can talk to you guys about season 1, episode 5, Judgment. Right? All right. We just want to jump in. We want to hit the recap.
Go for it.
For this episode. Cool. I'll try to walk you guys through this pretty quickly. So this episode opens, as most of our episodes open, with a shot from a security camera, right? We're from the vantage point of the machine. And we're in a parking garage. And essentially what we see in this parking garage is a hit and run, which is followed up by a phone call with an Eastern European accent saying, "We've got a problem." So from here, we cut to Finch sitting in a diner having breakfast, from what we could tell, reading a book. Do you remember the name of the book?
Yes, but I'll get to that later.
It's This Can't Happen Here is what I think the name of the book is. It can't happen.
It can't happen here, but I'll talk about it later.
Yeah. But so he's reading a book, and this is obviously where he and Reese have agreed to meet, because Reese shows up, and Reese is kind of fishing around for information. Reese asks the question, "What's good here?" And Finch says, "I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to figure out where I eat. You're trying to figure out my patterns, et cetera, et cetera." Which is when Reese says, "You're paranoid, Finch," and Finch says, "With good reason." Which is kind of sort of this underlying idea of like, of course you should be paranoid. If you know that there are machines constantly watching you,
and that the government's probably looking for you,
probably be a little paranoid. So, Finch is not given any information. He's continuing to be cold, aloof Finch, and he leaves Reese with the menu. And Reese opens the menu, and you see this week's irrelevant. The person of disinterest, is what I like to call it, who is Samuel Gates. Samuel Gates is a judge in the New York City circuit court system. We start the background with him. We find out he is a widower. His wife has passed away due to cancer, and it's just him and his son. One of the things we learn about him is he likes to give down hard, strict sentences. And as Reese starts to research him and try to figure out whether or not he's the perpetrator or the victim, you find out that this guy just has a lot of threats against him, as judges do. So they get this list of threats, and as Finch is going through the list of threats, trying to find the credible threats, Reese is following Judge Gates and finds out that someone else is also following him, white guy with a crew cut. And this guy drops a burner phone. Reese thinks he's going to shoot Gates, but he doesn't. He drops a burner phone in the trash can. Reese grabs the phone, and basically you find out that they're actually abducting Samuel Gates Jr., little Sammy, Judge Gates' son. Right. And so Reese shows up. They grab the kid from his house after school. Reese shows up. He tries to stop them. And this is a confusing thing for me. So I don't know if you can figure out what's going on here. Maybe you can help me.
Okay.
But he's fighting these guys. And one of them, not with a crew cut, one with long hair, shoots him. It seems like shoots him.
Yeah.
In the shoulder. And I have some complaints. I have some quibbling about this later on down the road.
I figured you would.
Like, there's no blood. You can't, he goes down, but it's not very dramatic. He doesn't even look that hurt. And then later on, like right after the next scene, we see him addressing the wound in some way, but there's no blood. There's no blood.
Yeah, there was.
I didn't see any blood.
There was
So he's got a little patch on it.
Yeah.
Like, it is the most superficial. I got shot.
Well, it's like he got shot in the shoulder. He flung backwards and fell over. Like the force of the bullet.
There's no blood.
I'm sure there's blood. Like inside, he's wearing a suit.
You don't think blood's gonna?
He's wearing a dark suit. He's wearing a dark shirt.
Anyway, it is the most minimized I got shot that I've ever seen.
He's gotten shot before, and it's less dramatic than that.
He's mad. Reese is clearly mad and engaged because this kid has gotten abducted, and he takes that personally. And this is kind of, you see some of this. Reese is impetuous. Reese is going after this guy, while Finch is still trying to hold back. And so Reese is going to engage this situation. He's not going to play by Finch's observe and don't engage rules, right? Which is essentially what we get. So then we flip to Judge Gates walking out of the court, and he gets a phone call. Basically, it's a ransom. It's not a ransom call, but it's a call that his son has been abducted. Reese reveals himself to Gates. Gates is sort of duly asking. He thinks Reese is involved. Did you take my son? No, I didn't take your son. And then he wants to know, but I'm here to help you. Then he wants to know, well, who are you? And Reese, which is good. Like, this guy's asking the right questions. But Reese kind of hits him with this, like, you're asking two questions right now. One is, where's my son? The second is, who are you? Which one of these do you want to answer? And obviously the guy wants to answer, where's my son? And so that's kind of that's how he basically sort of gets the judge to take him in. And so they go to the home, they observe everything that's happened. They can't figure out where, I didn't mention the nanny. There's a nanny. This is an important part. So since his wife has passed away, there's a nanny that's been really close to the family because she's been there a lot because the judge works a lot of long hours. Christina, is that her name? Mm-hmm. And they can't find the nanny. The nanny wasn't there when he was abducted, and they don't know where she is. So then we break to Reese and Finch on the phone again. They're still arguing about how involved they should be getting with this judge and how connected. Finch is concerned this judge is going to start asking questions about them, and they for sure don't need a judge on their tail. And Reese is concerned about getting this kid back. He has gone to the nanny's apartment and found that the nanny has been murdered. And he takes the bullet. Basically, the bullet that they killed her with has gone through her and into a wall. Yeah. He takes the bullet, but then calls 911. Right. So from there, we cut to the police station. Right, and this is our first real engagement in the police station since Fusco has been transferred to homicide. Right. He's now partners with Carter, essentially, so he can watch Carter for Reese and Finch. Right. And so he's looking at this file on Carter's desk that's related to Reese. She shows up. She noticed that he's messed with her stuff. She is suspicious. He kind of takes it in stride, makes a joke. Clearly, he gets a text from Reese, kind of makes a joke. He said, hey, since you're being so nice to me, I'm going to go get you a cup of coffee. And he dips out and he meets Reese in line at this coffee shop. And it's kind of a fun interaction between these two people because you start to see Fusco good side, right? Yeah. So Fusco is basically finds out a kid has been taken and he wants to help. And Reese is sort of laughing at it. He's like, oh, you're on my team now. And Fusco, I think he says something to the degree of like, I'm still a police officer. I'm still a detective. Like, I care about a kid being lost. And so you start to see maybe this partnership beginning to take place between Reese and Fusco. It's a good Fusco scene. So cut back, Reese and Finch are connecting again on the phone. Not all of Reese and Finch together during this, but they're connected on the phone. And Finch has figured out where the phone calls are originating from, and so they're able to trace it back to this city block. And Reese finds white guy with the crew cut. White guy with the crew cut. So he finds white guy with the crew cut. They get in a fight. He finds out that this guy is part of this Eastern European street gang called SB9. I think is what it's called. Yeah, SB9. And so he realizes that this is a bigger deal than just a kidnapping or just something related to this judge. These guys are in money laundering, they're in kidnapping, they're a global organization, right? They're doing all kinds of things. Now we cut to the nanny's apartment again, and the police are investigating this murder scene. And Carter shows up because it has been reported that someone fitting the description of man in a suit, not white guy with a crew cut, man in a suit, has been at this crime scene and maybe was who called it in. But when he was spotted was 2 hours after they think the body or the woman was murdered. And so it doesn't look like that he's involved. And Carter's pretty sure he's the one who called it in. That's her guess. So from here, we cut back to the judge's house because the police have now gone to the judge's house because it was his nanny that was murdered. And they're talking to him about some things. He is able to sort of keep them at the door because we find out that Reese is behind the door. And now the judge is distraught because he can tell that these guys are murderers. They're not just kidnappers, they're murderers. Reese tries to encourage him that his son is probably not dead. But the judge is now angry. He's kind of lashing out at Reese a little bit. Reese says, listen, I'm going to find your kid either way. You can do what you want. But I can do this in a way that the police can't. I can help you potentially keep your son in life. Then we get a phone call. They seem to always know after the first phone call that the phone call is coming. Like this guy receives no phone calls in his life. This judge receives no phone calls in his life unless they're from kidnappers, right? And so there's a phone call. It's the kidnappers. It's SB9. This is when we find out they don't want money. they want him to throw a case.
Mhm.
And the case is a woman named Angela Markham,
Mhm.
who was in a DWI hit and run. She
Mhm.
was intoxicated. She hit someone, and this is obviously the hit and run from the beginning of the episode. So she's being charged with vehicular manslaughter. They want him to throw the case. We don't know why. That's obviously where we're going to trail from here, is how do we connect her back to these guys, and why is this case important? But Reese lets the judge know, even if you throw this case, these guys are going to kill you.
Mhm.
Like, you know about them, your son knows about them. They are not to be trusted. They are not to be, they're not going to keep their word. But he says, you've got to stall this case out. So while I can figure out how we can get to these guys. And so that's the idea. We get to Reese and Finch. Finch, now they're in the room together. They're talking. They're back at the Batcave. Finch is looking into the girl, trying to figure out the connection. Their best guess is that she's maybe dating someone in SB9, while at the same time, they are able to. No, this isn't when it happens, but Reese decides he's going to take on SB9, right? And so he leaves, and so that's what he's going to do. Cut now to Fusco and Carter back at the police station. Carter's trying to work on this nanny murder. And Fusco, I think, realizes, probably because Reese has given him the bullet to check for ballistics, he realizes, oh, this is the same case. So Fusco starts working with Carter and kind of shows his detective skills a little bit. For the first time you see him show, he's talking about this silencer muzzle. They think maybe it's a domestic dispute. He said there's no domestic dispute where the guy buys a silencer. And he starts to impress Carter where she was suspicious of him. Now she sort of begins to value him as a detective. And I think Reese calls him at this point. And they sort of engage a little bit more in this back and forth of working together. So now we have another Finch field trip. I think we're led to believe at the beginning of Person of Interest that Finch doesn't go places much.
Well,
But
because he's a walker,
since he started walking, or at least since he started working with John, he is starting to go places more and more. So Finch goes to court while it sort of observes everything that's going on in court. And basically, Judge Gates is sort of like leaning into Angela Markham and her lawyer in a way from, he's sort of starting to stack the case in their direction, but he calls a recess for the day to sort of to stall. At the same time, we find out how Reese is going to interrogate these SB9 members, and it turns out that Reese's weapon of choice in interrogation, his first weapon of choice, is car sickness. This is the idea: is I'm going to make you car sick. He throws a guy in the trunk of a car and just drives around a lot in circles in mud until the guy gets car sick, and then says, "I'll give you this burger if you tell me, or I'm going to let you keep being car sick." Which, I mean, I don't get car sick a lot.
I do.
It's interesting we're in a car. You do get car sick a lot. We watched this episode in the car together, and I'm surprised you did not get car sick.
It was a risk. I kept looking up every now and then. I don't know if you noticed.
I thought it would be apropos if you'd gotten car sick, because how does car sickness feel? You need to tell me. How does car sickness feel?
I mean, it feels like you constantly have to vomit. You feel like you're going to pass out. You feel dizzy. You feel like not fully there.
Would you be willing to give up your Eastern European gangster brethren to stop being car sick? That's the question here.
I mean, if it was between like not feeling car sick and letting these people probably kill my family if I told them, I'd probably stay being car sick. I love you.
Yeah, that's kind of what's going to go on. Yeah, but this guy, no, this guy's like, I don't care. Maybe he doesn't have family. Maybe he's just white guy with crew cut.
Didn't we talk about that?
No, the other guy. That's later in the episode. That's not white guy with crew cut. That's one guy with
I thought that
one with long hair.
I thought that was there.
So anyway, but this guy, he gives it up. Like, he's like, I don't want to be car sick. Give me the burger. He says he doesn't know names. He only knows aliases, but he knows a place. Right. So he gives Reese a location. So back to the court case. So this is when actually. So you go back to the court case, and this is when he suspends the trial for the day. Goes back to his office. SB9 calls him from his office, and again, he knows it's them because those are the only phone calls he gets. And he, they know he's stalling. The head of SB9 knows he's stalling, and they kind of push back and forth on this. But essentially, it's like, you need to do this if you want your son to be alive. They send him a picture of his son with a gun pointed at him, and he gets this picture. But so does Finch, because Finch has tapped his cell phone.
His cell phone,
Yeah. And so So Finch is this, it's all getting really tense,
Yeah.
right? And so Finch is starting to feel the tenseness of this. And so maybe he's starting to engage a little bit more. So he starts following Angela Markham, which, by the way, Angela Markham is one of the most made up TV names
Yes, she is.
I've ever heard.
She really is.
It's one of the most made up TV names. We'll talk about her, but her name is so made up. You've never met anyone in your life named Angela Markham. Angela Markham is the most TV name I've ever heard. So anyway,
I know an Angela Martin.
Markham, though?
Martin.
Markham's a TV name for sure. I've never met a Markham. So anyway, so Finch is following her, and she gets a phone call. He's also got her phone tapped. I don't know how many phones you can blue jack at once, but Finch has them all.
But he can do it.
Yeah.
He built the machine.
Well, I know,
can
but
see everything.
he struggles to get cell phone records.
We can talk about that later. But
so it turns out she is not dating someone who is an SB. Gosh, Finch and Reese just supporting the patriarchy. She has to be dating someone.
yeah.
She can't be a powerful woman. She has to be a woman connected to a powerful man. And it turns out she is working for them, and she is angry. She's aggressive. She wants to be part of the team, not someone working for gangsters. And so she's giving it to them. They're giving it to her, but it turns out she is working for them. So from here, we cut to Reese, who has gone to the address that that guy with the crew cut, white guy with the crew cut, has given him. And he finds one with long hair.
He does.
Who was, no, they haven't found him yet. So he finds one with long hair who is coming into this building. He's already in there. This guy's coming in. They fight. He obviously beats. He shoots this guy in the shoulder, and it's way more dramatic when this guy
screams bloody murder
Reese in the shoulder. And anyway, so he gets this guy, but he also finds out that they're money laundering, right? And he decides, I'm going to take the money because this is going to be our leverage, right? And so he takes this back to the Batcave. He puts it in Reese's. It's like $16 million or something, I think is what they found. It's a lot of money. And Finch has figured out that Angela Markham works for a banking software company who monitors money laundering. And essentially, they think she is sort of going in and tapping into this one particular bank. And
that you made in 2009.
And turning and maybe allowing them to launder the money, turning off the software. No,
she can turn off the software.
Yeah, we don't know that she's doing it yet. Yeah, but we know that
we just know she
do
can.
That. Yeah, and so cut back to the judge. He's getting antsy. He's worried about his son. He's not sure that John's going to come through, so he just starts throwing the case completely. Right. Cut back to Finch and Reese. Finch has hacked into this bank system, has figured out what this woman is doing. And right here, I just have Reese does his thing. I don't remember why I wrote that. What is Reese? Oh, he's back in the Reese does his thing. He's back in the car. He's throwing both things. He's throwing the other guy in. So he's throwing one with long hair in the trunk with crew cut guy, and he's trying to motion sick one with long hair, but one with long hair isn't buying it because this is your thing. He's like, I'm not doing it. I got a family. They'll kill my family. I'm not telling you any names. And then he says something like, you ever heard about putting two cats
have you ever heard two cats in a bag? Like if you put two cats in a bag, they will attack each other.
If you put two cats in a bag, you're psychopathic, I would say. That's a weird thing to say.
I mean,
anyway, who's throwing two cats in a bag? No, John's a lot of things, but he's just going to throw two. Anyways, that's a weird phrase. I don't think it is one you should use. I'm going to say it's not one you should use.
I've definitely said it before. I'm sorry.
Know what that's like. So, but anyway, the point is, he cuts that guy with the crew cut loose, and says, if you want to get out, you beat this guy up until you get a name. And white guy with the crew cut loves this idea. So white guy with the crew cut and guy with long hair clearly don't have a good relationship. So he just starts beating him.
Funny interaction of him like screaming, him reaching around, and John just closing.
There's just a smile on his face.
He's so happy. See that might be psychopathic. You're talking about two cats and he's smiling as he watches two guys beat each other.
I don't know. There's a lot of people have problems. That's what I would say. So cut back to Carter and Fusco. And Fusco has basically he's looked into the cameras around the nanny's apartment, and right around the time of the murder, you see one with long hair coming out, taking off gloves. And Fusco says, "I think this is the guy." Which again, now Fusco's showing off his detective skills. Carter's like, "Well, how do you know this is the guy?" And he said, "Well, I read his license, and it came back not to a person, but to a company called Coldfield Holdings. Let's look into Coldfield Holdings. And that seems to be enough for Carter to be case. I'm certain that this is not how real detective work happens, but she's doing it. So they'll figure that out. You kind of cut back to Reese and Finch discussing. Reese has gotten a name, but they can't trace it to anywhere within this banking system. Finch is trying to figure it out. And then they get a text, and it's actually Fusco who saves the day here, gives them the name Coldfield Holdings. And then within half a second, I feel like Harold finds Coldfield Holdings and all the information. I'm like, was it this quick? Was it really this quick?
I think that's a good question.
He just gets it all, and they have all the information. And in addition to that, he's like, if you find Coldfield Holdings, you'll find the address of where they're being kept. And it all happens really quick, is what I want to say. It's pretty convenient. He's like, oh, suddenly Finch is like, oh, here's an address. Oh, they got this 2 days before the case started. Oh, you should go check this out.
I'm going to talk to you about this.
Now, the interesting part about this scene is, to me, is now everybody's on the clock, right? Because you have this back and forth scene where Finch is in the court and John is trying to find the building that's being rented. And this feels like the end of the episode to me. It's interesting. As I was watching this, I'd forgotten as I was rewatching this. I was like, oh, this is all the timing. It's a timing thing.
Watch your seatbelt.
It's like
you're rubbing against the microphone.
It's like, are you going to figure this out before the verdict gets read and before the kid gets killed? And so you're like, oh, they're going to find it all. But it turns out it's none of that. It's like a fake ending. The verdict gets read and she's not guilty. So you lose that. And Reese shows up at not a house, it's a church. We can talk about this later. This is the thing. You want to do this now? Do we want to talk about the church now? Or do you want to talk about it later?
Finish up your summary and then we can talk about this. And I'll argue with you.
Shows up at a church, not a house, and the kid's not there. There's just a blanket. Why they leave the blanket behind? It's stupid.
It's like a dog.
It's just something for him to hold on to. But they missed it. Not guilty, no Sam, is what I have written down there, right? So from here, the judge is now gone to meet the kidnappers. It feels like we've lost. Finch can't figure out how they're going to deal with this. He's pretty sure the judge is going off to meet his death. But Reese has a plan. Reese grabs Angela Markham as she's coming out. She thinks she's getting away scot-free, but he grabs her, right? And now we cut to a parking lot. It's not a park. It's somewhere
that's
by
a
the
park.
river. You're always by a river because you want to dispose of the bodies.
Yeah.
And so
it's a parking lot.
So this is where the judge is meeting the SB9 crew and their leader. And finally, he's face to face with the kidnappers. It's raining. I'm always curious for things like this. I'm like, did they want it to rain or was it just raining that day? And they're on a deadline.
It was probably just raining. That's what they did with Lost a lot.
Which I think is interesting. I think it's interesting how that affects filming. But anyway, there. That's just always a question I have with TV shows. So the judge meets the kidnappers and it finds out, of course, it is just what Reese thought. They're just going to kill both of them, right? But before they can, Reese shows up with Markham, holding Markham. Reese is clearly outnumbered, but Finch has sent a text to the head of SB9 to show that they've drained all their bank accounts. And Reese is like, if you kill us, all these people are going to come after you and kill you because all of their money's gone and all your money's gone. And so it seems like the head of SB9 is like, all right, fine, we lost. But what's funny to me is he's like, oh, we lost because I want my money back. But then he's like, kill them all. So
that was like to me too.
It's like, I don't understand.
But he also throws the kid too, because he's like, he could have just shot the kid there, and then they have to fight. But
y'all do it. That's going to somehow get him his money back. I don't understand. It's a pretty big plot hole.
I wonder.
But then we have a shootout, and I have Super Reese is what I listed there. Super Reese just somehow he shoots everybody without killing them.
That guy getting shot in the leg, it's such a it's not bad acting. It's not. I didn't put it in bad acting. I thought about it, but it wasn't. But he gets shot in the leg, and it just it almost looks like his leg gets shot off. The way it flings.
Unlike when Reese gets shot in the shoulder, generally speaking,
he's been shot so many times.
Shot hurts.
He's been shot so many times.
And leaves a mark.
Yes,
and
it
blood,
does have
and
blood.
perhaps
And blood.
creates
And they go
tension
back.
in your shoulder for maybe at least the next 2 scenes, I would think.
You know how many times he's gotten shot? So
Yeah,
many
but
times.
this is a bad
He was
shit.
in war.
This,
Okay.
I'm going to take it.
Okay.
Well, I'll say this for overall feelings about the episode.
Okay. Okay.
Right. No, I'm going to talk about it here.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about it here. We're so close to the end. All right, let's finish the episode and then we'll talk. All right. So then we get to what is kind of our classic, what is becoming our classic sort of end
Mm-hmm.
of a person of interest episode where all the loose ends
Mhm.
kind of get tied up. So we have the prosecutor or the DA
Yeah.
who has lost the Angela Markham case because the judge threw it. We have her at another case. Where she opens a folder and Finch is in the background, and clearly Finch has given her all the information that she needs
Mhm.
to bring up charges on SB9 and Angela Markham. We have Fusco and Carter getting the call to the money laundering safe
Mhm.
house where they find everybody tied up,
Mhm.
including Angela Markham, the head of SB9, all these people, and all the money. And we have Reese looking on, nodding approvingly as they come out afterwards. And of course, Carter, who always looks off wistfully as though she's going to find Reese. The only time she did not look off wistfully to find Reese was when he first left the police station in the first episode, and it was his car that was driving away.
3-minute interval of her going to get something and him leaving.
So we get to
I have to
that,
speak to my client.
and then we get sort of our epilogue, right? Which is the judge and his son are playing soccer, which honestly, this reminds me a lot of Lionel and his son
Yeah,
playing
it does.
hockey.
That's
I feel
what
like
I
there's
thought
a
about.
parallel here.
That's a dad-son thing.
So the judge and his son are playing soccer, and relational Reese shows up. That's what I call relational Reese.
Okay.
He shows up. He basically just wants to check on them. The judge says, "I can't repay you." And Reese says, "That's fine. I don't want you to repay me." And then the judge kind of says, "Listen, something's probably going to happen to you someday, and I probably can't help you."
Yeah.
So cut back. We get some symmetry in our episode because we started at the diner.
Yeah.
We end at the diner. Do you know the name of the diner? I was curious. There's a menu, and I kept meaning to look.
I didn't even think about looking.
I didn't look at the name of the diner, but we're back at the diner. Reese and Finch kind of have a warm moment where Reese thanks Finch for
giving him a job,
right? Because Reese is finally sort of discovering his purpose again and being able to help people. And in return, Finch, I think, has seen Reese's heart beyond just you're just a hired gun to help me, and now gives him some trust by admitting that he comes to this diner very often.
Yeah.
That's the end of our episode.
Okay.
All right.
Would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this episode. So, overall feelings of this episode. So, the first time I rewatched this episode, I was like, this is fun. This is fun. It feels unlike, so we had 2 episodes that were kind of heavy, that were really heavy, dealing with war and PTSD from war, dealing with
harming yourself,
sexual assault and harm and all those things. And like a couple of really heavy episodes. And by the way, we still don't know, like we got no resolution to Reese and this guy from the episode before. And so this is more of like a classic sort of like how are we going to get them criminal procedural episode. And so in some ways, like it's really fun, right? You get a lot of interaction. You get to see a lot of people.
A lot of good one-liners from Reese.
Yeah, you get a lot of deductive reasoning. You get some jokes. You get some good action.
Yeah.
Like the timing of scenes, I feel like is really quick and really good.
Yeah.
It's really slow in the episodes before this, and this one's quicker.
It's quicker.
I feel like,
and it's more straightforward. There's more of one big picture story, and I think this is really where they found their footing.
But on the flip side, like it just has so many holes. It's just
it does.
It
has a lot of holes.
Episode for so many reasons. Yeah. Right. Again, like just the things we talked about. Like there's just I have so many questions and things that don't make sense to me. Okay. But then there's also like I think this is one of those. It's like when I saw Fast and the Furious. When I saw the first Fast and the Furious movie, I remember like just enjoying it so much in the theaters. It was 100 billion years ago, and it was so fun. Movie. And you went out to the parking lot, and you could tell everybody wanted to be in the Fast and Furious in the parking lot afterwards. And people were tearing out, and it was hilarious and it was fun.
I'm so
and then I woke up the next day and I was like, well, wait a minute. What about this? And what about this? And what about this? And it's like, you can't ask those questions in a fun criminal procedural. But I do think it was a sloppy episode. I do think that they were probably worn out from 2 episodes.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like they took this episode off a little bit.
Yeah.
Which makes me sad because we're going to talk about our person of interest, and I really liked our person.
I liked our person of interest. I think he did a good job.
So anyway,
do you want to talk about what you were just about to talk about with the guy in the car in that little shootout scene that you were just about to talk about?
I just did talk about it.
Oh, I thought you had more to say.
No, that
about
was
it.
it.
Okay,
It's
okay.
like, why does this guy, like, it doesn't make any sense that if you kill them, you're never going to get your money back. Okay, I won't kill them.
Yeah.
Y'all kill them. I'm not
But
going to
the
get my
thing
money
is,
back.
like, he was
It doesn't
still
make any
holding the
sense.
kid.
It doesn't
And he
solve
could have
anything.
just, like, not that I wanted him to kill the
It
kid.
doesn't matter if he kills the kid or they kill the kid. He's not getting his money back.
Yeah,
either
it
way.
doesn't
And so,
matter.
like, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't
So
make
I don't
any
know why he
sense
thought
to
it wasn't
me.
going to work.
Yeah.
It was going to work.
It's like, in the end, everything Reese and Finch did to try to stop this guy from killing the kid, really, the way they stopped him from killing the kid was Reese shot everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
It
how
doesn't make
Mustangs
sense.
in.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's again, you can't think too
Yeah.
much about it. You
Yeah.
just have to let it be a fun episode. So, all right, what are your overall feelings for this episode?
Yeah, I agree with most of the things that you said. I will say that I really enjoyed seeing Fusco and Carter start working
That was
together.
huge. That was one
That
of
was
my
a
favorite
big
parts of this
thing.
episode.
I was really happy.
Because you see, like, you see a little parallel between Reese and Finch
Yeah.
and Fusco and Carter
Yeah.
in this episode. And, like, to me, those are the best parts. Most of my complaints about person of interest are when they stray away from the relationships too much.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the best parts. The
Sure.
relational interactions are the best parts. Yeah,
I will
agree.
say something that bothered me at first was John's impulsivity. Is that a word? Impulsivity?
Yeah, that's worth.
Like when he got shot and he's with Finch and they're talking and he's like, oh, I think we might have the wrong, I think it's supposed to be Samuel Gates Jr. that we're supposed to go after. And Finch is like, no, the machine doesn't mess up, like blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, I don't care. Like, I don't care. We're going to get this kid. I'm going to get this kid. Finch is like, well, okay, we can do both. Like, this could be a greater, like, he's trying to kind of plan it out a little bit. And he's like, no thinking. Go get the kid. Go get the kid. Go get the kid. And he's like, well, what if we make a plan first? Nope.
He's like, I have a plan. My plan is to get the kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
There needed to be I think it would have been a lot simpler if we had planned it out the first time around. I'm on Finch with this one.
Yeah, I don't know. But what was the plan?
What was the plan?
Yeah, what would the plan have been?
Well, I mean, I think we could have like transferred the money, like found out where the bank was quicker.
I think him engaging the judge was important. I think
that was important.
Yeah, and that's what Finch didn't want him to do.
No, Finch didn't want him to go without a plan.
No, Finch didn't want him to engage the judge because he was worried the judge was going to.
Well,
yeah. Okay. Well, I got it. I mean, like, I think they bounce each other. I think that's the idea, is they kind of pull each other.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of the episode, Finch is in agreement with John.
Yeah.
That, like, I need to be a little bit more engaged with this.
Oh, yeah, at the end. Yeah, it's a kid. No.
It's a kid.
And you talked about it a little bit while you're going over it, but, like, one of the things that I highlighted was you really being able to see the good side of Fusco in that one moment where he's like, hey, there's a kid involved. Whatever you need, I'm here to help you. Of course, John had walked away, like, as he was, like, being super hurtful. He was like, I'm here for you. Like, I am a cop in the end. Like, I will help as much as I can. Just let me know. He's already gone. He, like, turned around. He's like, did you hear me? Do you understand me? And, like, it's like, I just poured out my heart and soul for you, and now you're gone. But I really liked seeing that side of Fusco.
Yeah, I liked those parts of the episode. Yeah. I always liked the interactions, and I liked that. I liked both Reese and I liked Finch finally softening a little bit there at the end to engage.
Me too.
Yeah, I like those parts.
Right. Person of interest?
Let's talk about him.
All right, let's do it. Samuel Gates. He's played by
favorites.
oh goodness. Okay, he's played by David Costabella?
Yeah, Costabile.
That's probably
I don't know.
That's probably right.
He's probably watching this, so
sorry.
have to see.
I said your name wrong if you're seeing this. But he's been in a lot more things after this, but I always try to do things like before or during Person of Interest to keep with the timelines because this was October 20th, 2011. So before that, he played Gail Bond.
So is this pre-Breaking Bad or post-Breaking Bad?
This is Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad's like his Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's what I was reading.
So you haven't watched Breaking Bad, but Breaking Bad's like his seminal work.
I knew he was in it.
Yeah, he was Gail.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Botchanier,
I just remember him as Gail.
something like that. But yeah, he was in Breaking Bad. He's at 7 episodes of
And
that.
he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's not just in 7 episodes of Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad, by the way. right? He's not just in 7 episodes of Breaking Bad. He is a brilliant person in Breaking Bad, and he ends up being ultimately the reason that Walter White gets caught in the end. So like way down. And I won't ruin it for people that haven't watched Breaking Bad. But way down the road, he ends up being the reason that Walter gets caught.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I compared bald Harry Styles to Walter White the other day. So,
Bald Harry Styles.
Yeah, Harry Styles shaved his head.
No, not
and we were looking at pictures in history. And I said that he looked like
Styles.
Yeah, we said he's not Harry Styles anymore. He's just Styles. Or no Styles.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, I said he looked like Walter White now. He's also Eric Ward in The Office. It's like very first season.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Mhm.
That's a good character.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
before this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. And then this is further on, but there was not a lot like before this that anybody would recognize. But later on, he plays.
That's big.
Well, I know, but I always do 3.
Okay, go ahead.
I always do 3 things, and those were 2, and I needed another one. So he plays Mike Wagner in Billions.
He's Wags in Billions, and Wags in Billions. Again, I'm not recommending Billions. There's a lot of morally questionable stuff in Billions, and Breaking Bad, obviously, meth and murder.
I was about to say,
but Wags in Billions is a brilliant character.
Yeah, that's
like,
following
it
up.
is
I think it's a year or 2 after.
It is a brilliant character. He's a good actor.
But
anyway,
I was just
he's a good actor, and I kind of think he was wasted in this episode, unfortunately. Like, because he doesn't come off great in this episode. He's fine, but like, I don't think he has enough to work with. He's a better actor than this episode gives him. Because this episode feels light to me. It feels light to me compared to a lot of personal interest.
We've done.
And I just mean light in terms of like, not just light in terms of like, it's not dark, but light in terms of like weightiness. It just seems like a light episode in a lot of ways.
That's true.
Anyway, I think he's great. Big fan. Love him. Loved getting to see him.
I think he did a great job.
So
with what he was given.
Yeah, he did. He did. With what he had, he did.
Yeah. All right. Best scene.
Okay, what do you got?
You go this time.
I had a few. Let me go see what my notes here say. I had a few up for him. I liked the timing scene where you thought it was going to work out and it didn't work out.
Yeah, that's good.
I like the diner scenes.
Yeah, I had the diner.
I think though, ultimately, am I allowed to put so here's what it came down to for me. Am I allowed to put, what are yours? What are some of your nominees?
I had the Fusco John interaction when they're getting, was it coffee? When they're talking about, when he sneaks up, So I have that interaction. I have Samuel and John in the park talking, like right at the end when he's playing with his son. And then I have Finch and Reese in the cafe at the very end with them talking.
So here's my question.
Those are my nominees.
Can I take the trunk scenes and put them together?
Sure. I love it.
Or at least that
was a good
trunk scenes with the first guy. I love the trunk scenes. I think they're hilarious.
They're very funny.
It's funny that a guy who's like a trained killer like John's primary form. I really do think it's funny that his primary form of interrogation is car sickness.
I mean, it would get me. It would take,
and that's what he's dealing with. That's the only answer to that. I think that's hilarious.
That's an evil thing to do.
So I enjoyed those scenes the most.
Yeah,
I think
that's a good one.
And so
I think best scene goes to Finch and Reese in the cafe.
No, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
I think that,
like as far as like weight of a scene, that one wins for sure. All right, what about best line? What do you got?
Best line.
I've got a couple of nominees.
I've got a few. The cats in the bag. Putting 2 cats in a bag. That was one of mine because it was funny.
You ever see 2 cats in a bag?
What?
You want out? Get your boss's name.
It's up there!
I thought it was funny. And then him like, get your boss's name, gives him the knife. He's,
it's not. That's not a line, but that's a funny moment.
I mean, it's a line that comes with an action. It's. I put them together. I have when John, I think this is like the first time they go into the apartment. He sees the guy, not the long hair guy. What are we calling him? I forgot.
White guy with crew cut.
Yes, thank you. White guy. I don't know why I forgot what he was calling. And he like punches him down the stairs, and he falls, and he passes out. And Finch comes on, and he's like, "Did he say anything?" And John goes, "Not anymore." Like,
Finch, I just found our guy.
Was he talking?
Not at the moment.
Not talking anymore. I have that one, and then I have when John is talking to Samuel in the park, saying, he's like, I don't know how to thank you, and he's like, you don't, I don't know how to say thank you. And he's like, I don't know, you don't need to say anything. Actually, I'd prefer it if you didn't. Like,
That's a good line. Yeah,
it
no,
was-
that's funny.
it was a double meaning. It was funny to me. Those are my
I liked not one line, but the dialogue between your paranoid Finch with good reason. I
Mhm.
thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
My favorite line,
like
though,
that
and this always gets me. This is stupid, but this is when there is in multiple shows there is where one police officer has called another police officer real police. I love it. I love it when Fusco says you pissed off real police, which I think is a funny description for a singular person.
I think so
Because I think
too.
of police as multiple people,
I
but
do
that's
too.
not the only show. So it must be something people say. It must be something
Maybe.
police officers
Maybe.
refer to each other as. Like it's a big compliment to say you're real police, meaning like you're a real detective.
Yeah.
And so that's my favorite line. It's like,
Okay,
you pissed
okay.
off real
I like that.
police because I like when they say real police. Sometimes they say
Police.
that you pissed off
Yeah,
real
yeah, yeah.
police. So that's my favorite line.
It's good.
Where we at? Life
Hey, life
lesson?
lesson. Your turn to go
All
first.
right, I'll go first. Life lesson. This is the life lesson of this episode.
I'm excited.
100%.
I'm curious.
You are not going to beat this.
Okay. Okay.
Don't drink and drive. This whole episode doesn't happen if Angela Markham doesn't drink and drive.
Markham.
It's not. Everybody's fine. There's no kidnapping. There's no threats. Nobody gets shot or car sick. If she doesn't drink and drive, that's the moral of this episode.
That's
Don't
a
drink
good
and drive.
life lesson.
She doesn't get arrested. She keeps laundering money.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna beat that because that one's funny, but it's also true at the same time. Mine's a little deeper. Because I debated on two. I debated on two seats, and they happen to both be part of my best scene. Like
Right.
the one in the park where the judge is like I'm not gonna be able to protect you, and Reese and Finch in the diner and him being like, thank you for giving me a job. And I thought about doing that one, doing thank you for giving me a job and talking about purpose some more. But because we've already done that,
Yeah.
I felt like I couldn't. So
I think purpose is like maybe the show's
it's
theme.
it's like
It's like the theme of the show.
the
It's like people need
tagline.
purpose.
Yeah. Like Lost was like everything has a meaning, everything means something. It's everybody has a purpose kind of thing here. So I decided to go with that line, that whole little like monologue thing where he's like, don't, I won't always be able to be there to protect you. And my life lesson with that was that you can do what you think is right all the time, like and fight for something that you like, but you have to be aware of the consequences and that somebody might not always be there to back you up and protect you. You have to be prepared to take on the consequences.
Yeah, that's fair.
Of what will lead to it.
Yeah, that's deep. But don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and
Because
drive.
the consequences of that
are
kidnapping and corrupt judging,
killing kids.
And they didn't kill them. They didn't kill the kids.
Attempting.
Yeah, attempting.
Attempted murder.
And taking all the money out of the system.
And
We'll talk about that in a
sickness.
minute. And car sickness for sure. All right, better name for this episode. I'm two.
You've got.
I want you to go first. What do you got? What are your better names for this episode?
I really could not think of one. I've been trying. I tried from the moment I got home last night to this very moment, and I could not think of one. Because like judgment, like I don't know. I couldn't pull anything besides like maybe like nothing that would be like funny enough to be better or like just good in general. Like I thought about justice, like because they showed justice in the end, but I felt like that was too close and not good. Like it was maybe even just as good.
So I thought Trial by Fury.
Okay. Okay.
Trial by Jury.
I like that.
It's my
That's
fun
good.
episode, but this
That's
is the
good.
real name of this episode.
Okay.
White guys with crew cuts, one with long hair. That's the name of this episode because I think that's the funniest thing. He says white guy with a crew cut. Enough times for me to laugh. Okay. And at one point they say,
I like that.
At one point when they describe who they're looking for, they say white guys with crew cuts, one with long hair.
Yeah,
That's my
that's
name of this episode.
That's good. I like it. I like it.
One with long hair.
That's funny.
Is what I would
like
name
it.
this episode.
Okay.
All right. On to bad acting.
Bad acting.
I've got some nominees here.
I do too.
Go ahead.
Okay. So one of them is, okay, I kept missing his name, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because we're driving and it was hard to hear. I wonder, what's the main like Russian guy's name? Is he Russian?
Yeah,
The
I don't know.
the villain guy?
Like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we get it. We probably get it at some point, but I don't.
I think every time I tried to say his name, it like didn't like register what they would say. Anyways, that guy, right, right as he's like about to kill his kid before
It's
John
bad.
comes out,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Sorry, Your Honor."
Sorry, Your Honor.
Sorry,
Your Honor, Your Honor. It's so stupid.
It's such a
It's
stupid like
Yeah, it's
line.
stupid.
And-
That might be the winner. I've got some nominees, but I thought about that.
So like
But that
crazy,
guy's
like,
okay in
I
general.
was-
It's hard.
yeah.
It's hard when they give you an
Sure.
accent that clearly
Yeah.
is not your real accent.
Yeah,
That is
no,
that guy's real
definitely.
accent.
It is not, but like just that line was so cheesy and like not at all like one of those John Witty one-liners
Yeah.
at all. It was just, yeah, I don't know. I hated it. I did not like it. And then back to the guy who got the cricket guy who got knocked down the stairs. He has kind of this dramatic. He falls, but then once he's at the bottom, he kind of goes one more like, oomph, like for no reason. And I'm kind of like, that was so unnecessary. Why did like that looks like theatrical, not
Yeah.
television. Like it was like he falls and then he's like he lays there for a second and then goes. Like it's like so unnecessary.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Those are my two nominees.
Guy hit by the car in the opening.
Oh yeah.
He just
He just falls. He just like he just like it's not even like it hit him. He like looked at it funny. He was like,
like
oh no.
that car wreck is gonna make that guy. He's never gonna move again
Yeah.
from that. So, but maybe I've never been hit. For a minute I thought so. In the opening scene when we're trying to see how Judge Gates bonds with little Sammy,
Mm-hmm.
they have a high five, and his high five is the worst high five I've ever seen. But it might just be because he's nerdy. That may actually be.
It could be that.
I'm never gonna say that guy's a bad actor. He's
Yeah.
a great actor. But I think for me, maybe the nanny, because she doesn't get any lines. So I'm like, is she a bad actor? Is that like,
I don't think
get
so.
any lines?
She had lines.
She gets one line.
Yeah.
She says like, "Hey, Sammy," or something.
I don't think she's a bad actor.
But
I think it's just a
I think
challenge
for me,
to
it's
not
Markham.
to
I
act
think
without
it's
words.
Markham.
Markham?
Angela Markham.
Yeah,
her name?
Markham. The name.
She's just
terrible.
She's just overdoing
She is.
everything.
She is.
Her
Even like
facial,
her face, like when
her
they tie
facial
her up,
expressions are overdone.
when she's in the when they tie her up for
Her lines are
Carter
too
and Busco.
aggressive. Her lines are too aggressive.
Yeah.
Like that's the way you're going to talk to the Eastern European mafia.
Yeah,
You're going to be like,
I
"Blah,
know.
blah, blah, I'm going to tell you what to do."
Yeah,
They'll
no.
kill you. They'll cut
Yeah,
your
that was
fingers off.
dumb.
They'll kill your
Yeah.
family members. So I think she's
Yeah.
overdoing it. That's
Yeah,
my
so-
take on
yeah.
that actor.
I like that.
All right,
I still think.
give me your
Sorry,
facts
Your
of
Honor.
interest. We're running up on. We got like 9 minutes till the hour mark. So
Okay, okay.
give me your facts of
Okay.
interest. What you got?
Well, yeah. Anyways, okay. So first fact. So Harold reads in the diner. He's reading a book, and "It Can't Happen Here" by Sinclair Lewis.
Mhm.
And it's a book about a fascist guy in World War II.
Yeah, I knew it was something
Um,
about
or like a fascist dictator in World War
fascists, yeah.
II. Which is what we're studying right now in history. So, about like Hitler and Stalin and Mussolini. But when he goes in to start hacking that computer in that one scene, when he swipes his ID card, the name that he uses is actually the character's name, Walt. What was it? Walt Trowbridge.
Mhm.
Walter, like, so he uses that as an alias, which is the book character's name.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So that was a nice touch. So I could like to see like that did end up having a meeting, because now you know why he didn't use a bird's name.
Yeah.
Like Burdett.
Always
Like Burdett.
birds.
No more Burdett. I wish Burdett would come back. I like Burdett. And then oh yeah, the machine, when it's panning and does all of its little security cameras, it shows 48th and Broadway, but the security footage shows that the date is 2008 and not 2011.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It was weird, and I kind of like had to do a double take. Like, hold on, I had to go back and like, did I say? Yeah, I
They
did.
just
Okay.
botched it.
I guess so, maybe,
Yeah.
or it was stock footage. I don't know. So the music was different at the end. I don't know if you noticed that, but it was different, and it was by a guy named VXX. That was the name. Is VXX.
Do we know why it's different? It's just different.
No,
It'd be different.
it was also entitled the intro,
It's weird.
but it was the ending, so
Yeah.
it didn't make sense. That part didn't make sense. Oh, okay. Here, this is both
It's
of
the intro to their relationship.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
Here's
Just took it another level.
this is a good one because it leads into questions.
Mhm.
Because this is a question, but it's also like kind of sticks out.
Okay.
So
I've got
in the
something.
church, I know you're gonna talk about this church too. In the church, right before, like I saw it the very first time we saw him over by like the humidifier and the blanket that he's sitting on. There's a Holy Mary statue.
Yeah.
Which is, I will say it again, it's the
Is
same
it
one
the
from
Lost?
Lost.
You think it's a Lost thing?
Same thing from
It's too
Lost.
big.
But it's also the exact same style and the same height as the one that was in the storage lockup room when they found the Elias box with when Finch gets pulled by
Really?
John. Yeah, it's the same.
How'd you find that out?
How did I find
Did
that
you
out?
look that up or
No,
something?
no. It just looks the exact same. Like, because when we talked about that episode, I remember I was like, "This is from Lost. Like, it's the same statue." Just
Yeah,
bigger.
yeah.
They were like, "No, no, no,
I
no."
remember.
And I pulled them up and I looked them. But because I remember that,
weird.
I saw it and I was like, "I'm pretty sure that's the same thing that they use in the
I
story."
wonder if it shows up in other episodes.
I don't know. I'm gonna
It's
start looking for
look.
it now. But like I was like, oh. So then part of me was like, maybe. Do you think like that storage locker was for the
Yeah.
mafia people? Like maybe like that.
You
Because
think they're just carrying around that Virgin?
what if there's heroin in it?
That's
What if there's heroin in it?
Well, fair. Maybe
That's
it's
what I
maybe
thought.
it's maybe
Maybe it's drug cartel.
maybe this is J.J. Abrams saying religion is like a drug.
Once you get it, you're
You just-
addicted.
Yeah, it's opiate of the masses.
Yeah.
Well, is that Karl Marx or Lenin? Who said that? Marx or Lenin? Religion is
what?
the opiate of the masses.
I think that's Lenin. I don't think Marx
I
said
think
that.
it's Marx.
Marx said
I
oppressors
think
and
it's Marx.
oppressed.
I think it's Marx. But
I think, but
somebody tell us.
I mean, Mrs. Bowling, please
Somebody
enlighten
tell
us.
us.
We're talking about this.
You ready for questions?
Yes.
So the church is a question. It's stupid. I don't know why. It's not even a question. It's just stupid. Well, you're going to take money and the most inconspicuous thing you're doing is going to buy a church that you're going to house a kid in. A kid that.
They got like 10 libraries and they were like, oh, they're just going to sit there, I guess. I don't know.
But
Nobody ever like thought about asking
this
for
is different than the Eastern European guys saying we're going to keep a kidnapping victim in a church in the middle of the city. Like,
Well, we're
I
gonna
think
keep
it's stupid. You can
a
find
spy set up in the middle of
find an apartment to keep the kid in. You can't fit him in an entire church.
But they need the.
It's dumb. It's dumb.
But nobody
There's
suspects the church. Nobody
Nobody's
suspects
going
the
to go into
church.
this church. Nobody's going to show up at this church.
Nobody's gonna go to that library.
Listen, I pastor a church, and people call and show up all the time.
Maybe they call and they pick up and say, no, this is not a church anymore.
This is where we get.
No. This is where we connect kids
This
and
is
we bring them.
kidnapping place. We can't give you rent
Like
support.
I think
We're
that you can make the same argument for the 10 libraries that Finch
No, sorry.
owns.
No
And
soup
the-
kitchen today. This is
And the
kidnapping day.
CEO of his company that he like
It's
quit
different. It's different. I don't think
because
it's
nobody was like, oh, who's the boss of
It's
this place? I don't
Oh,
know.
so here's
Who
some of my
else
other
next to me?
questions. Here's some of my other questions. I have one big question, but it also leads into where are they now? So
Okay.
I'm going to hold on to that.
Okay.
So, so they're just hanging out playing soccer at the end of this episode. There's no trauma.
That's I was thinking.
Kidnapped and held at gunpoint. This
I
kid's
know. I was like, they're just
fine.
hanging out now.
Like,
They're
nothing's going on. This kid's
they're
not
just-
completely freaked out about being
There's
alone.
one sec. I thought the
He goes
exact
and
same
gets that
thing.
ball. He's not going by himself to get that ball. There's
No.
no way.
No.
So no trauma for the kid. That's one question. Reese goes to this money laundering safe house where the guy, nobody's there. Nobody's watching the money.
Okay, I thought about that for a second. Like, why wasn't there a guard?
$1 million in that place and no one's watching
Yeah.
it.
I was like, there's not a guard.
There's just
not a.
one guy coming back.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't know.
Like, that's ridiculous. That
don't
would
know.
happen, especially how mad the guy was. The money was missing.
Yeah.
You just left it there. You left it there with that one.
Yeah.
You don't,
That was your own fault. Why are you blaming other people?
So,
For that? Yeah.
that's a big question for me. Now, all the rest of my questions involve the judge.
Okay.
So,
I'm ready.
do you have any questions? Any more questions?
Well, you said my others. But we
Okay,
talked
that
about
was it.
church.
You're covered.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so here are
I'm
my
ready.
questions. This judge is not a good judge. I have suspicions about this judge.
I do too.
First off, he throws this case.
Yeah. He's also like Justin.
He just throws
Sure.
it. No, second, why does he have $300,000 in the bank?
I don't know.
How does
I
a
don't know.
circuit court judge? I know judges.
Yeah.
How does he bank $300,000? Maybe it's a life insurance policy on his wife.
Yeah.
When she passed. But clearly, if she had cancer, they probably spent a lot of money taking care of her. But the guy still has $300,000. I think he's corrupt. The other thing is his engagement in and around women is suspicious.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's
Suspicious.
that attorney
So
or that
first,
prosecutor.
he gives off real vibes that he had something romantic going on with the nanny.
Yes, yes, because he was there when she was there when my wife died, and,
Yeah.
and she was like such an important member. She's always been so good
And
with
he's really
Samuel.
struck by her.
I heard
She's so young.
she's so young, but
creepy.
kind of I was like, oh,
So
I didn't say that.
then what you're talking about, there's some weird thing going on with him and the DA.
Yeah,
It's like, did they have a romantic
yeah.
relationship?
He's like, but what about? She seems like super empathetic and but he's just like, no,
and
shut up.
it's like personal,
Mm-hmm.
and she's taking it personally.
He's
So-
like, I will do everything in my power to make sure that you lose your job if you
and
go
there's,
against me again.
and there's weird eye contact between him and Markham
Yeah,
the whole time.
Yeah.
And so here is
he gives me weird
here's
vibes.
my take on this guy.
Okay.
Not a good judge, potentially corrupt.
Yeah.
Because he's thrown one case.
Yeah.
For personal reasons.
Yeah.
And so he probably could have thrown some more for money if he needed it. And potentially bouncing around unhealthy relationships.
Yeah, I was
Right?
thinking that.
Maybe when his wife was dealing with cancer, did he seek solace
Yeah.
in someone else's arms, and now he's dealing with it. And
Yeah.
So this leads to my where are they now?
Okay.
So this is my take on where they are now.
Okay.
So the judge has developed a pen pal romantic relationship with Markham while she is in prison, serving on her money
Okay.
laundering charge. And she ends up sort of manipulating him so
Ooh.
she can get out early.
Okay.
And so he has helped her get out early because he's a
Okay.
judge.
Yeah.
All those things. And they've suspended her sentence. And now, years later, they are together, but that has estranged him from the son because the son, this was part of his kidnapping, and the son can't
Yeah.
understand why he would do this. So he and the son do not talk anymore.
Yeah.
And he lives with Markham. So that's my where are they?
Okay.
You got a where are they now?
I do. I have a similar theory, but I think I'd rather it be Markham that does this, but I had a theory that like once Markham goes to jail, she pretty much like brings up to the court like, hey, by the way, this is what this guy was doing. This is why he was sabotaging here. She tells like the prosecutor who's going against her, and they take him down, and he loses his job because he was like rat him out
Because he
almost threw the whole thing.
I forgot.
And then she's now mad, and
She's
so
using him in some way for
there's
sure.
no point in like keeping his thing a secret anymore. She could just rat him out now.
So maybe that's how she got her claws in it. She manipulates it.
Yeah. Or she like blackmails him.
But he's a mark because he's all in love with all these girls.
Yeah.
So
No, he's definitely having some weird relationship with a bunch of different people.
Something's going on with him.
So
Not a great guy.
and I think the
this
son
judge. That's
grows
the hot
up.
take.
Son grows up. 10 years later, he's probably like 23. I don't know how old he was in the show, but he's probably like 23 now. And I think he starts to like hate his dad because his dad is kind of weird, and he's been and he let him get kidnapped. And it was because his dad didn't put him in therapy. That now he's like a drug dealer.
Oh, you put him as a drug dealer. I just think he's in therapy. I think
he didn't go to therapy, and it really messed him up.
I think he's probably somewhat agoraphobic. He stays home all the time. He works an internet job.
No, I think he starts doing drugs, and then he starts dealing.
Yeah. Well,
Because I think he's trying to cope with it.
Well, maybe this episode did get dark.
Maybe he gets Breaking Bad.
Maybe
he's Walter White.
Can't be
No,
Walter
I know.
White.
I don't know. I've never watched Breaking Bad. I know it's before. I was just kidding.
But
They built a time machine at the
maybe
end
this
of this,
episode got dark.
and maybe it did. All right.
You got anything else before we get to who won the episode? Any other thoughts on this episode?
No,
I like where we took it more than where they took it.
I do too. I think
we did a
maybe
good
we
job.
should start writing the episodes.
All right, who won the episode and why, Emma?
Okay. Okay. So I debated again. It was either
Man, I had a clear cut winner
really
this episode.
okay. I had
So
John or Fusco.
Oh, okay. Give me your reasons.
So I had John because like even though he had some fun and games throughout the show, like funny one-liners, like he shot a few people, whatever. But at the end, even after like teasing Finch a couple of times, he was still like super sincere and was like, "Thank you for giving me this job." And I think that was like him being the bigger person, which allowed Finch to open up and be like, "You should try this." He tried the Benedict eggs or whatever.
Yeah.
Eggs Benedict. Yeah. Because I've had them many times, and it kind of leads
they're
into
really
it.
good.
Finch is opening up now, and I think that was a big part of like that was a big portion of like relationship building in this episode.
That's fair.
So that's why I think he probably won the episode. But I also like that we saw that good side of Fusco.
Fusco was my clear cut winner of this episode. Like, he was my clear cut winner of this episode. He showed that he's a real detective.
Yeah.
He showed that
he's
cares
a good
about
person.
people.
Yeah.
And this is the first time you see that. See with John right now is like he could win almost every episode right now because he's kind of the
true
right at this point.
Well,
everything. And so that's why I kind of gave it to Fusco, because this is the first time you see redeemable Fusco.
Yeah,
And it comes around on the heels.
that was my thing.
Yeah, it comes around on the heels of Fusco turning and trying to stab John in the back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Well, Anna's doing good with both, like, being loyal to John and Carter at the same time.
yeah,
Even though Carter got
being a good detective.
suspicious at one point, like, he was still, like, fairly honest with her, like, as honest as he could be without giving away John, and still loyal to John without giving away Carter.
And he doesn't like really turn on Carter for being suspicious of, because he's kind of like, oh, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
people should be suspicious
Yeah.
of me, right? So he's kind of owning himself.
Yeah.
So that's why I give
Yeah. I would say
Fusco
Fusco wins.
this episode particularly. So
Yeah.
cool. All right, we done?
I guess
That's all we got
That's all we got.
for this week from the car.
From the
So
car, from the
thanks to
Tennessee
everybody who
V.S.
made it possible, and go dogs.
Go Balls.
So I mean, you guys will know in a few hours how it turned out.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.